feel like Kung Fu was missing something, and I also feel like it ended very abruptly. There were some good messages in it, but as a narrative, it felt really poorly constructed. This is the second segment in the second episode of the 13th season of Arthur, and Fern is, I feel like it was really poorly introduced as well, but she's volunteering to spend time with an elderly individual in order for her to get her badge for something or other. And she's not really enjoying it. He seems to be quite, I want to use the word boring from her perspective. But Sue Ellen points out that this is actually, Mr. Wu was actually once a famous kung fu star. In kung fu films, and Fern suddenly believes that actually what he's making her do or asking her to do is secretly teaching her kung fu, which sounds like it makes no sense, but when you watch it, it does make sense, kind of. But at the same time, I feel like there was nothing that would have led her to believe that, and everything seems forced. Nothing made a lot of sense, and I feel like there were bits missing. I feel like bits had been plucked out of the episode, and everything was just disjointed and all over the place and completely messy. And it's a really poorly constructed narrative, really terrible. And it's really rare that, in fact, I can't even. There might be another episode before this that's like this, but as far as I can remember, this is really the only episode of Arthur so far where the narrative just feels like somebody's regurgitated a bunch of words and put them together in some kind of semi-coherent order, but there's just so many gaps, and motivations don't make a lot of sense, and things don't really seem logical, and as I said, it even felt like it ended abruptly, like somebody had chopped off the last 2 or 3 minutes. So the narrative is definitely pretty appalling, but there is a great message in this, and I quote, "You have to let go of how you thought things were, and okay, I'll quote it more eloquently. You have to let go of how you thought things were and go with the flow," which I think is always really important. We have these expectations, we get caught up in what we think something should be like, and if it's not perfect or it's not what we thought, we're not always open to enjoying what it actually is and allowing ourselves to experience what it is just because it's not what we thought. And I think that's a really important message. So credit to the episode where it's due. That made some sense. Nothing else made much sense, to be honest. Sure, it's great to see Fern volunteering, spending time with an older individual, and showing that actually they can be fascinating and they can have interesting pasts. It can encourage people to do the same, perhaps, but honestly, I have to say, Kung Fu is one of the weakest episodes of Arthur.